Hi YouTube, welcome to this very special video. I say very special because this is Humankind, the game I've been most excited about for probably years. Coming out in August 2021, but this is the April OpenDev. Now an OpenDev is different from early access. A lot of games nowadays have early access, which basically says, we're gonna kinda come out ahead of time, not be quite baked yet. People will get to kind of play it and show it along, and then we'll get to do another hype of publicity when it's the 1.0 release. Open devs are genuinely betas in the sense that you only get to play them for about a week. Usually Amplitude does it where it's 2 adjoining weekends and the week between. And then it's pulled. You can't play it anymore. So on the one hand, this is kind of a weird video because by the time you're watching this, you won't be able to play the Victor Open Dev here. You'll have to wait for either the next OpenDev or probably just the game's release in August 2021. But I want to record this because even though there's some kind of bugs in this, a pretty fair chunk of bugs in this OpenDev, the core of this game I'm still so excited about. And between April and August, I want to have something to show people. This is why I'm excited for Humankind. So I'm going to try this on the highest difficulty. I just beat it on the penultimate difficulty. So this is kind of a challenge for myself here. And, yeah, I mean, I'm going to kind of talk through why I'm doing what I'm doing, so it's going to be like my normal Let's Plays for strategy, but the focus isn't quite the same because, of course, the breaking exploits I'm going to use, they're going to fix them, right? Like, everyone's complaining about the same things on the forums, so we can trust that a lot of what I'm doing strategically might not work anymore. But I just kind of want to show you the kinds of things I'm thinking about and why Humankind is so cool. So you'll notice that our current culture is a nomadic tribe, and we didn't pick a civilization at the start. That's one of the big things about Humankind. We're going to be choosing different cultures over time. We're not picking as one static culture at the start, like in Civilization. But we'll show that off as we come to it. And, yeah. Get ready to see Humankind. So, what do you notice off the bat? We have our hunting party here. We're just a tribe. We are nomads. We gather food and multiply. You notice we have 2 special actions we can do. Well, 3. We can attack things. We can create outposts in territories. Once we have influence. Right now we're not influential. We're just some dudes on the savannah. And then we can ransack things that have resources if we find them, like the sanctuary. It's a rich, diverse habitat with plenty to sack for peaceful wildlife. So we'll spawn peaceful wildlife, or we can sort of over-farm it, get food for our tribe, but then it doesn't spawn more animals, which is unfortunately, if you know much about the actual Neolithic, that's pretty much what we did. So right off the bat, you can kind of see our goal as a Neolithic tribe here is to kind of wander around and get lots of food and multiply. We have 3 goals at the top here, which is getting 5 population in our empire, which is getting enough curiosities to get 10 science, and hunting a total of 3 animal units. Now, one of the things off the bat about Humankind, and I'm putting in a big forum post trying to get this changed. But right now, you should kind of ignore these goals. The fame system, you see this little icon at the bottom is fame, and that's sort of like the score that you get throughout the game. Fame, normally playing to these goals is really important, but you want to stay in the Neolithic longer than you need to. You technically only need to achieve 1 goal, but we want to get as much population as we can, because once we're settled people, we won't be nomads anymore, and we won't be able to just scavenge for food on the ground. We'll have to have our cities generated. So for now, we're going to just go to this food curiosity. Now I should note that the Victor OpenDev, I've played it about 20 hours, just kind of getting a chance to see what's out there while it's available. And unfortunately, it's the same map every time. So I know where everything is. I'm kind of have to like sort of blur my focus a little bit and pretend I don't. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to pretend I don't know what's in what directions, and we're just going to go at it. So in this case, we're going to hunt a deer. So we do it like this. You'll see that when you hunt something, combat, it's 1 unit per tile, but then you fight on like an actual battle map. Like this. So you see as we can deploy in one of these squares, the deer will get to go in one of those 4. So we'll confirm the battle. Normally you have the option to retreat there, which is what that confirm was. Wildlife can't retreat, so we always get to fight them. So we're going to start up here on the high ground. So we see we have to walk down to attack this deer. So if the deer had been standing here, we could have gotten a high ground advantage attacking here to here. But no dice, the deer is smart enough to not stand there. But you can also see we're just stronger. We have 10 strength, the deer has 8. So when you look at the minimum and maximum estimated damage, we're going to do more. Now I want to end up closer to the sanctuary, but I'll note that moving on the battle map doesn't actually move me on the overmap. But I'm just going to kind of show off that we can move to either direction here. Then the deer will counterattack. And that one is actually pretty even, which is interesting. That's just a random chance, right? So, but they've designed it so you have to get really, really unlucky to die to a deer at the beginning. So we should be okay here. So we kill the deer, so we get 5 food and 5 influence. Now remember, 5 influence was all we needed for our first outpost, and that claims the territory. So you see, this is telling us the tile yields that we'll get in terms of food and industry on this outpost. Now, industry on the outpost isn't going to do anything in the Neolithic. We're not building anything yet. This is representing us sort of just still roaming around. But some people are staying at the outpost and starting to like gather the food near the outpost. And so they'll grow in population, start getting us to the growth star that whole time. So food's a little more important than gears for your very, very first outposts. And then later you really care about both. And we'll get into that as we go. Now also notice how there's this blue hashed line right here. So one of the really ingenious things Humankind does is it divides the map into pre-existing territories, right? So in the same way that, the Italian peninsula, below the app's very natural border, the map is pre-divided into territories. You can only put one outpost in, and then your city works kind of the whole thing, which means you don't quite get the same snowball city spamming like in Civilization, right? Because you can only have one outpost or city in this whole block. You control the resources of this whole block from that city. So you're not sitting and counting like, when am I going to be able to buy this tile? When can I buy this tile? You work the whole area. Now one thing it means is, let's say there was a really nice resource right here. I can't build a city here and take it, right? I have to sort of respect these natural boundaries. So when I'm thinking of building an outpost, do I build my first outpost right away? One nice thing about Humankind is that missing a couple of turns of food on the outpost is not the end of the world. So you don't need to like place your city like right as soon as you possibly can. Your outpost, I mean. We have some time. And here, these are decent yields, but I don't want to walk backwards. I want to go to the sanctuary, and then I want to walk up and see as much new stuff as possible, and not settle right away. Also, I forgot to hover this. Sorry. This is a sage deposit. Basically, once... so this is telling us the achievement. So someone else has found the Danakil Desert, which is a natural wonder. So we will not get to be the ones to find it. Natural wonders are nice when we find them. There's me. I'm Victor Hugo. That's why this is the Victor OpenDev. You all play as Victor Hugo. In the full game, you'll get to make your own little avatar, which will be fun. So we can see here, the sage deposit gives you food and money, but if you extract the sage resource, you'll get stability per stage on cities. We're not going to explain stability yet until it has more context. Let it suffice to say that all luxury resources give stability, so sage is a bad luxury resource. It doesn't give a special benefit like many other luxuries, it's just the stability. So it's not as good as other luxuries, and it's not worth settling here just for that sage. We're going to ransack the sanctuary. One turn passes, and boom! Now we have 2 people in our tribe. And now we'll be much better at fighting wildlife. So we can kind of go up. So if we go up here, we'll get to see more, but then we might, this cliff, we might not be able to kind of go right off it. So we're going to, we're just going to pop here to get a bit of a elevation lift. Okay, now there is more food there. So we could either go back up here, see stuff, or we could cross around. So what I'm going to do, I like to have at least 2 tribes people in any given stack. And the reason I like that is because for hunting, there's actually flanking benefits in combat, so you really like to be able to set up flanks. But this food is going to make another person here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split one nomad this way. Oh, perfect. There was another food right there. So we're going to walk these people over here because they're at 1520, so they're guaranteed going to have a double stack now. And this guy can go here, get some berries. So now we're going to start kind of spreading out more to see more and to place our first outpost. We want to get a little more information. A couple other things we see. This is another resource. This is ebony. It's another luxury that only gives stability, sort of a low-tier luxury. We also see a river. Now, one thing that bothers me is that I do think the territory boundaries should respect the rivers a little more, just because the justification for having territories is so much based around natural features, and that rivers are like the #1 features that set boundaries in the world. But anyway, interesting thing about the river, when you get on the river, it takes your entire movement. You see movement points to enter 4, to follow 1. So it takes more movement to get on the river, but then once you're on it, you can kind of like whoosh and sail down proper quick. Now, will we get on this river? Well, you can see here, you can only just barely see it, but it's dumping into a lake right here. A lake or an ocean, we don't know yet. So it ends on that side. But these people might be worth getting on the river. So what we'll do is we'll try to move 3. Yeah, we'll move to like here. See what there is to see. And then maybe get up on the river here. And then we can cruise it through this. We're going to do that. Okay, well it ends here, but at least we'll get to the food. So that's cool. These guys now. A good habit in Humankind is to get used to, especially in the Neolithic, popping your moves one at a time. So there's a food curiosity, and there's a science curiosity. So remember, we need to get 10 science points to get a Neolithic legacy trait. And those are pretty fun, and I want to show them off. So we're going to pop towards this food, and then if we can go around here, we will. Otherwise, we'll just double back for this food. Now, I noticed that this is kind of taking a while, and we're kind of dirtling along a little bit. It's really okay. That's why this is so fun. There isn't that pressure, like, instead of, like, oh god, I gotta go right away, make a city, You can relax. And in fact, when you advance from the Neolithic to an Ancient Era culture, only one civilization can use each culture, which means we're going to get to know when people are advancing out of the Neolithic. So we know everybody is still Neolithic right with us, and it's probably going to be that way till around turn 15 or so. Let's do another quick outpost check now. So we see here there's an 18-2. Now 2 is a really, really low number of gears, but it's a good amount of food, and that's really what you care about for your first outpost, is your food. So we might go ahead and settle. Oh, and there's some copper. Copper will give us some of the industry we need, so this seems like a good first spot to settle. So let's... Now, can we walk from... No. So we're going to walk here. So problem is, you kind of have to decide up or down for the thing we're founding next turn. Now, only food matters, but like, this is just... This 13-8 is just a lot more harmonious than this 18-2. But only the food matters right. So this is a better Neolithic outpost. It'll give us more food right off the bat now. But this will be a lot better when we turn it into a city. So let's kind of have a think. Let's run this other group first. Because maybe there'll be a great first outpost over here. Although from this ancient encampment, we did just get 5 more influence. So we're already on our way. So we can see here, nothing here is quite as good. There's a... Well, a 7-13 is actually... Yeah, but again, you want the food more than the industry for your very first one. So we can't tell if we can go around here. I think I'm just going to take the safe thing and take the food. Because this might end up terminating at like a sheer face, you know? We know we're getting food when we go this way. And then we'll start climbing uphill and we'll get to see more. But now this does mean that, yeah, 12-2, 10-7, yeah. I think I'm going to do, because also the high ground, remember that tactical map we saw. This is a really, really big point. That's how all combat goes, not just with wildlife. So if our city is up on the hill, it's more defensible, which is really cool. Oh, but we just found Mount Roriyama. So natural wonders. The thing about natural wonders is that you get 5 influence a turn for being the one to control them. And that's really, really important. So this is another advantage for us going high ground for scouting for outposts instead of low ground. We saw Roriyama. We want our first outpost. We want to just be exploiting right Mount Roriyama. We want to own that territory. Now, what does it also mean for these guys? Well, now, basically, without getting into too much of the nitty-gritty, the way Humankind works, you like to have your territories touching each other, right? It's better to be contiguous, for some reasons we'll get into. So this guy, I think I'm not going to go all the way around now, because this could be a lake or a sea. So we're still going to walk up, but we're going to kind of think about getting our eyes on this middle stuff at some point and focusing our attention in this kind of circle. Okay. So let's start you. Walk up 1. So the only way up is this crater. Okay. So it's a deer. So once you do combat, your movement is over. So we could start it here, but we'd rather move up here first. We move 1 more. There's a source of horse, if we need horses. But let's attack this deer. So you see now, we're going to get the high ground, because we're able to attack down, unlike that cliff last time, which was too steep to attack down. So this is now a really, really good combat. This is a 14-6, or 14-8. So we should do a lot safer against this deer than last time. Now remember, this guy's got some food in their belly already, from that food curiosity. So I think this hunt is going to take us to 2 food, or 2 population, which is really nice. For the tribe. Baboom. Yep, it was only 5, but that was just enough. So now I got 2 people. Ooh, there's a mammoth. Now, unfortunately, I really want to hunt this mammoth, but also I really want to get over to Mount Roriyama. Because somebody else could be approaching it from the north, and if they claim the outpost, the territory with an outpost, we can't have it, right? So I don't know that we necessarily have the time to... Let's ignore the mammoth for now. Oh, here we go. Oh, this is a river. If it wasn't for this river, then we could say, worst come to worst, if we go here and we don't see a great path, we could still double back for him. God, mammoth hunts are such a big deal, though. Can I risk it? This is the kind of decision that's so fun and tense, right? Like, can I risk it hunting the mammoth? I mean, that's a lot of food on that bad boy. So I'm going to risk it. Well, no, I'm not. So now I have a very interesting reason why I'm not. So when I hold right-click and hover, you can see the combat map here. So you'll notice that, like I mentioned, you can flank and do a rear attack, but I can't here. When you look at the territory, it's just going to be my one guy bopping him on an equal playing field, and then support. Now, some battle modifiers to know is +4 for high ground. It's +1 for every ally you have next to you. It's +4 for a flank. Mammoths have 13 strength, which means that a mammoth is stronger than a tribesperson, but if the tribespeople have a flank, they're each stronger than the mammoth. But I can't get a flank on this mammoth. So, just like how we hunted mammoths in the real Neolithic, we needed some tactics, we needed to kind of be smart about it. If I'm attacking him on this side of the mountain, maybe it's a different story, but here, he can just stand in this choke point and I'm screwed. If he goes back here, if he goes here, I can figure out a flank. I can go behind him and ahead of him. But I can't get a flank from here, so this is not a good spot to engage this mammoth. So yes, we're going to just pop on this river. We're going to cruise it all the way over. And we're going to take... You can see they make sure that Mount Roriyama doesn't span the territories, so it's clear that this is the territory. If we have an outpost anywhere in here, we get Mount Roriyama. Now there's a scientific curiosity. Okay. We'll think about it. Actually, yeah, we can take this for kind of free. We need to get on the river here for it to actually be like a downslope, I think. So I think we can kind of go around here, pop the scientific, and then still get to Mount Roriyama kind of this way. Okay, these guys now, I want to keep them as 2, because again, if we see a mammoth, we can hunt it as a pair, but not as singletons. So let's... Oh, guys, this guy's movement is done. You notice you have health regeneration. One special thing, too, that makes the Neolithic a little better than being civilized. And again, this is all kind of flavorful because there's a lot of things when we went to cities that got worse for humans instead of better. So right now as nomads, we regenerate health every turn. Once we're civilized folk, we will only regenerate if we're in an allied sphere of influence. So we're going to walk 1-1, because if there's a science curiosity here, I'd go back for it. And I'm glad I still went like this, because now I was able to detour for those berries. Now we're going to go north. Look for stuff. Oh yeah, this is a salt deposit. The city will get food per salt when we extract it. So that's better. So you see, it also, like the sage and the ebony, gives us stability, but then also we're going to get some free food every turn for salt. So that's nice. Now we're just going to touch the science. Okay, so let's look at... Yeah, so if we look at... We can't take this waterfall down. I was kind of mistaken in thinking I might be able to. So we have to go around is the bad news. The good news is, having committed to going around, we can stop over that sanctuary and then try to swing over kind of this away. Yeah, because this is a slope we can go down. You know, like take this and then go back for this. And I could have, gone ground level, placed this, and then walked to Oriyama, but, that's just how our scouting happens to when we took the high ground. I didn't want to do this doubly back guy. Okay. Again, we still know nobody else has actually gotten a culture yet, so we have some time. Acknowledged. Ooh, a science and a sanctuary. So this is perfect, because it ended right there, so we were able to do it and then get it. That was a really good turn for these guys. So we're going to do that movement, but one at a time, as usual, just to see what's up. And also, once we extract this... I was about to say we could split off into another 2-1, but, I mean, a 3 for the mammoth is even safer. So, if the mammoth is kind of in the way for next turn, I'll probably, Okay. The growth star has been earned, because we now have 6 population. So... Here's the thing to think about, okay? First off, you could say, oh, you get a Neolithic legacy trait if you get these. Is it worth waiting for the trait? But even more than that, the question is just, again, I could advance to the Ancient this turn and be the first person to have a culture. But once we become a settled people, we're not going to be content with just running around, finding wild nuts and berries, killing deer and stuff like that. So it'll become harder to get population. And a key thing is that you can disband a unit. And if you disband a unit near a city, they live in the city. So we want to get more population density from foraging and scavenging, then become settled, and then bring those people into the cities, right? So again, if you've learned your history, up until about the 1800s or so, all cities were population sinks. Cities kind of killed more people than they sustained. It required a constant surge of people from the country coming into the urban area and replenishing. So there's massive attrition. So there's just some history for you. Now, for hunting this deer, what I probably am going to do is split one scout out now, have 2 people walk here, and attack the deer from here. Still getting us towards Mount Urayama, missing a couple turns of movement for some food. So let's split off you. You go down. And you guys... Ooh, mammoth. Well, now it's too late for us to all attack the mammoth, though, so we'll do it like this. And this guy's just going to avoid that mammoth, so he's just going to go. Now, again, it's kind of annoying to be avoiding the mammoth here, because that we want territories contiguous, so I'd much rather look at here for stuff to claim, but scouting is scouting. Knowing what's around you will never do you wrong in the fullness of time. Yeah, we're gonna save our first outpost. Not Rarama. Now, technically speaking, you can place more than one outpost in the Neolithic era. So even if we wanted Mount Roriyama to be, let's say, our capital, we could have still founded another outpost in the interim to make a little more food. I'm not doing that here, because I'm kind of simulating, not knowing how much influence your second outpost will cost, wanting to be really sure you can take Mount Roriyama as soon as possible. So... Okay, so now this is deposits of lead. Lead is very nice. It makes your researchers better. You guys. Fire be with us. We love fire. So the deer has disappeared. So he's standing up there. So we can't quite get to the flank this turn. But next turn we'll be able to show you what the flanks look like. So in the meantime, if we look at the combat, oh, never mind, he can't reach up there. That's funny. Yeah, the cliff is kind of, because you can't turn the camera more than like 15 degrees in Humankind with Q and E. Sometimes like the height stuff is a little hard to parse. But you see, this guy gets a +1 from his ally being nearby. This doesn't count as high ground enough, or else the deer is just not smart enough to exploit it. Okay, so now can I show you a rear attack here? Yes. Oh, this is a funny bug. The little embark icon came because there's some inland tiles that are marked as water erroneously. So you see he's got a -3 for crossing river. Oh no, never mind. This one is a river. Yeah, never mind. It wasn't that I was saying this was, it's saying this was, which it is. The point is, he, even though he crossed the river, and he's the -3, because he's fighting from a river tile to not a river tile. This tribes person is just the +4 from rear attack, because of the flank. So, boom. Yeah, we can see the rivers. So now I got the Hunter Star, which also lets us advance, but again, we're not going to. Note that the wildlife does stick around through the Ancient Era, but then they just give you like rewards for their pelts and stuff instead of munching them. And again, if you're listening to that and saying, hey, that sounds kind of goofy, I'm not blaming you. I'm putting in a big request. I might actually put it in the body of my video, my proposal for the new Neolithic, but it is what it is right now. So we now choose a new culture. I'm not even going to explain how this works. You're going to have to take my word for it, but it's not good to do it yet. We found another natural wonder. We found Lake Baikal. So now this is interesting. So we've got Mount Roriyama. We've got Lake Baikal. We definitely want our capital to be in one of these two natural wonders, and we kind of want to, I guess, take the space in between. Found this sort of area. Note also we're getting fame just for finding stuff first, so scouting aggressively, splitting our stacks at that SM benefit. Now, if this particular tile we're standing on is good, that'll give us one more turn of tempo. So let's check this random tile. Now, I don't expect this to be good, because remember, your city will exploit all the food and industry around it, just like in Civ. But I won't exploit these 3 tiles, because they're not even in my territory. So if I go here, you can see it's 2 and 8. It's terrible. So we're definitely not founding the outpost this turn. And we're going to just look now for the best location that we can get to in either of these two. Just do our first outpost there. Do our second one, keeping the other wonder, even though the stuff won't be contiguous. We can kind of get our claim to it, and then try to get them connected ASAP. It's probably the way we want to do it. We have an event. A world aflame. So we found a settlement on fire, but there's some beautiful craftsmanship, and we notice some short figures running away. They can become part of our tribe if we give chase now, but we'll lose the secret to their construction. The answer? This is a really stupid event, and it needs to be rebalanced, because again, I think that what happened is Amplitude didn't think about disbanding for pop when they planned how the Neolithic should work. Okay? Minus city defense research costs by 25%. I happen to just know that it costs 35 science for city defense, so this is saving you, what, like 7 science. Now, when you think of how slow we're getting it in the Neolithic, you're like, 7 science isn't nothing. This new raw number, this person that we get, we can disband them into our city as a population. Workers give 6 yield a turn in whatever you put him on. If this guy's a researcher, he pays for it in 2 turns, and then we have him forever. So this is the only correct decision with the event as it's been written. Cool. So now this is my new army. Now we don't want him to touch the food curiosity. We want this stack to touch the food curiosity. because they've already got some stuff to it. And also, this guy's kind of got one turn ahead of the game, so he can be the one to look for where we want. So now we're going to kind of be like, okay. So this is a very defensible spot. You see, there's by call, there's the river. So here, it's going to be defensible. 314 is just not enough food for my tastes. What about here? Wow, this territory ends very quickly. So 314, if we want Lake by call, that's kind of what we're dealing with. Is 314. Now let's walk these guys through the little... Ooh, Rama's got horses too. Oh baby. This is probably gonna be where we settle, methinks. Game's even saying 10-4, buddy. Settle here. Now I want to touch this food capacity with this stack, so we're going to split off this one here. Okay, there's another sage, which again is only stability, but still that plus the horses plus the mount. Now I suspect getting up on this plateau is going to be better, but we're going to kind of take it turn by turn here. I think we're going to make it a goal to settle next turn. There's definitely plenty of like workable things. And we have gone a little while. This is kind of slow for the first outpost, but once we saw the wonder, it changed the equation, right? So that was the idea. Now these guys, this is just a solo group. They can't fight a mammoth. They're mostly going to hunt for scientific curiosities, I think. Ooh! So you see this yellow hash, there's another civilization, and they have founded an outpost. They're ahead of us there. Now we noticed we've got the most fame, because we've obtained 2 of the 3 stars already. We haven't advanced yet. And we found 2 natural wonders first. So if we look now, here's the mount. Yeah, so we really want to get like this and have like this weird oceanic connection. I mean, really what we want is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're probably not going to found an outpost over here, even if we find a good spot, because we really want to claim both the wonders and then have enough stuff between them we can kind of hold it all. So, anyway. So these guys go up. More food, jeepers. So then let's split a second. So let's make this 2-stack next turn. And these guys can look up and see if there's a better eaten. Yeah, it's just all like forest with nothing to eat. There's lots of lumber, but no food. Okay. So we can see here the Nubians and the Olmecs. So basically, there's going to be a big list of 10 cultures. I'm going to show it to you. We'll get to pick between them. But we'll have 2 choices we can't make. We won't be able to choose the Nubians. We won't be able to choose the Olmecs. Because the AI has decided to advance ahead of us and choose their real culture. Now, as you'll discover, I think the AI is wrong to do this. I think playing it this way, where you slow roll Neolithic, is better. But it does mean, in the Ancient Era, we're going to get fewer choices. And we just have to be okay with that. So what I'm going to do now is I want to plunder this sanctuary, because it's just more population. But because you have to end your turn on the sanctuary to do it, we can walk 1 tile in any direction and just see some stuff, and then come back for it. And I'm going to do this, because then we'll kind of see if it's worth coming up on this plateau, if we want to walk this way. So we're going to pop 1 up here. See, okay, nothing really going on here. We'd have to go around to see what yellow's got. And back here, plunder the sanctuary. Now let's go get the outpost figured out. So here we go here. You don't want to found your city directly on the sage, or you'll lose the sage. So this 14.5 is probably going to be what it is. We want to do it this turn. Oh, 14.6. That's one more than 14.5. And the nice thing is, unlike in Civ, you can build the extractors for the luxuries as long as it's in your territory. You don't need to be adjacent to it with another building. So we'll still be able to get this sage as quickly as possible, as quickly as we want it, if our outpost is here. Now you'll see the little 5-turn icon. That's telling us it's going to take 5 turns for this outpost to finish constructing, and that's a function of the gears. So that is the one thing where even in the Neolithic you want gears, because your outpost gets online sooner. Put it right there. So now in 5 turns, you see, this will become an outpost. And we'll be able to make that into a city. Which means that because we kind of took so long to get our first outpost going, we really don't have as much of an incentive to go ancient, except to make sure that nobody else denies a specific culture from us. But anyway, so that was 25. So you see now it's 20 for our second outpost. So we've gotten enough influence, we can already also claim the lake. So let's go walk here. We're just looking for where in this area seems like the best spot. Now, this kind of terminates there, so we'll go, oh, a science curiosity, nice. Okay. We got some 410s here. Oh, damn it, that 610 might have actually been the best. I guess if it is, I can walk these people back. So let's waste your entire turn here to get on the river, just to see. So a lair is like a sanctuary, but it spawns bears who are aggressive. So we definitely want to clear that lair, so a bear doesn't kill us. But now, let's see with all the stuff our forebears have gotten here. I think the 610 might be the way to go. And then I can just join up that other army, I guess. Yeah, there's a 7-9, but again, I want to get going now. Plus, this way, we could switch to Baikal being the one that becomes our capital first, because this outpost will finish in 3 turns instead of 5. Now, it's going to make a lot less food, but that's just the nature of the geography. So now we have our 2, and they're already technically connected, but they're connected by the ocean. So we don't have a way to walk between them that will be like regenerating our hit points the whole way. We really want this one next, because it's got the copper and the salt. And then this guy, I mean, it's got a horse. We've already got a horse. So I would say my priority now is to get an outpost here, then to get an outpost here. And once we've got those 4, we've got this nice little kind of Mediterranean style, all curved around the same body of water. Yeah. So they've all stopped moving. So the only person with a move left are these guys. Now, they can just go take this and plunder. They have not much else to do. So this group, I don't know exactly what the best thing. I think I'm going to send one up. Yeah, we're going to split these now. Like this. Just this one to walk up this one. So, basically an important thing about Humankind to think about. So remember when I told you, like, oh, it's a nice thing that if there's a luxury, you don't need to be adjacent to it to make the extractor? Well, that means is you really want to scout the whole of your territory that you own, because you might just be leaving, money on the table, right? So none of these stacks actually have any food already yet. So I think I can walk this guy here. He can be the one to exploit those, and these guys can just go straight south instead. And they can go start exploring around here looking for the next spot. Now our next outpost is 60 influence in the Neolithic, so we probably can't place the next one until we advance. Once you become a real culture, this is kind of a unintuitive mechanic. They might change it again for full release. Right now, they really make it so you can't spam outposts in the Neolithic through that scaling of influence costs. But then once you have a capital, the outpost cost becomes a function of how close you are to your capital. So we'll be able to make a much cheaper outpost when its stuff's adjacent, which again is what we want anyway to make sure we kind of have a contiguous core. So we can see this is now solid because it's not just an outpost anymore. It's a full civilization by yellow. So, oh, actually I should. Oh, when did that? I must have just missed the icon coming up that said they also took their cultures in the rush. So the Olmecs have been taken by yellow. So I should not show off the screen too much until we're actually picking our culture. So we're still going to be Neolithic Mans. So we want to plunder this sanctuary, but remember, just like before, we have enough movement where we can do this first. Actually, then I may as well pop here. I'll plunder it next turn. Nothing's stopping me. Worst come to worst, it spawns a deer, and then I can just kill the deer. Now, if that was a lair, again, it's harder for the... Oh, never mind, though. There's a mammoth here. So now what I'm going to do? I'm going to plunder the sanctuary with this group this turn, so that I can join these stacks together, and then we can go after that mammoth. Because this guy alone won't be able to do it anyway. So then they won't have to, like, waste that last movement point standing still here. Although I guess that they have exactly enough movement anyway. So, whatever. Oh, man. I want to show you guys a mammoth kill, but it's just never been smart so far. Yeah, I was going to say, so this food, you might say it's better to just link up with this group, go for the mammoth together. But the difference is when I go here, I'm not just getting this food, I'm also getting the information, right? Oh, damn it, except I walked the wrong way. Fuck me. I'm going to commit to it now. I'm going to go all the way around this little basin. Get some knowledge. Because see, now I know where Purple's stuff is too, and that's pretty nice. But now it means that this group is far away, so this mammoth hunt will probably not get to work. So let's just get these guys, I don't know, heading here. Let's get them to just catch this little bit of this, because remember, this is the territory we probably want next. So let's just have them at least in position. Let's have them look for where I want the outpost. Because notice I am making 10 a turn now, because I've got, like by calling Mount Ruriyama. So let's kind of get these guys looking around here, standing where I want to make the outpost, even if I don't actually make it until I start the Ancient Era. Okay, these guys now can go up. Science. Sweet. And they can walk to the food, and that should make them a 3-stack. Now what I'm going to do, because that will make them a 3-stack, I'm going to leave one guy behind here to link up with this group, so we'll have 2 doubles going around. So notice, I mean, just to really hammer it home, that the pop star said 5, and we have 10 people, and we're still kicking it. So these guys can go here. And now we're going to plunder the lair. One more bear. These guys are going to go down the river. Now this will be nice stuff to know about. Oh, there's a bear right there. So the bear... So now you just notice now I can't move onto this... You see these little red spikies? So the bear has zones of engagement, so I can't actually retreat. And the bear might attack me, because he's aggressive. If he does, then I'm just going to have to run in these people and help out. Mycenaeans and the Harappans. I'm going to have very few cultures to pick from. Oh, yep, he did attack me. Oh, that's right. I need organized warfare. So we haven't organized warfare yet, so these guys can't actually come help. What I can do is just retreat from the bear, because he is stronger than me. So when you're retreating, for a couple of turns, I move a random... I don't know if it's random. I haven't figured out the direction you retreat. Sometimes you retreat sort of backwards, so it's not always like just the direction you came from. We'll have 50% speed for a few returns, and if they attack us again, we won't be able to retreat a second time. But that's fine, because these guys will go kill the bear, because they are a trio. Yep, and that's the positioning I want, is this fan. So you see, next turn I'll be able to do a flank, but because of the bear's zones of engagement, I have to like spend my whole move to go each one of these tiles. So let's move everybody in position and now look at the attack. So this guy's got high ground and friendly, but he's crossing a river. So it nets to being 1 stronger than the bear. This guy's got high ground and 2 friendlies, but is crossing the river, so he's 2 stronger than the bear. This guy has equal strength because he just got the friendly. So we'll start with the strongest ones. Then these guys. And I'll notice, because we've injured the bear, now this guy's got a strength advantage too, because the bear has -1. So the order can sometimes be really important. Okay. Now the bear will get to attack me once. But now, I can move 1 in its zone of control, and now this guy's got an enormous strength advantage, right? Even though there's a river crossing. Rawr. Bonk. Science curiosity. I saw it in the middle of the battle. It's kind of weird that it worked, but it did, so now I know these guys gotta haul straight here. Because now that we're so far behind, we definitely want to go for our Neolithic trait. There's no reason not to. We're gonna get like no choices of cultures, but that was already kind of the name of the game when we did the winning strategy here. Ooh, there's a deer we could hunt. But I think I want to show you guys at least one mammoth kill. And this guy's kind of off in the fucking hinterlands anyway. Ooh, but there's a science. I can go for the... Oh, so this is an enemy outpost. So I could ransack this outpost. I'd get a little bit of... I forget if it's gold or food in the Neolithic if you ransack it. But more importantly, remember how you have to place the outpost, right? And it takes all that time and you gotta wait for it to become an outpost. If I do that, they'll have to kind of start over again with a new outpost. But ransacking takes 7 turns, which is, you know, an eternity for what we're looking into right now. We don't have that kind of time. I think what I'm going to do is move this army here, fight this mammoth, and then next turn I'll have the science curiosity. Hopefully I can find one more, or this will be worth 2, and I'll get that special trait. And I can look to becoming an ancient era culture next turn. I was wrong about the timing. It's only turn 13. I said it'd be around turn 15. I'm playing on Humankind to difficulty, and apparently that's a different thing. Oh, never mind, it's solo 4. Those were just the notifications from the ones last turn. Okay, so we'll have a couple to choose from. Also note, we've got so much influence when we're doing the big hunts. We got the Baikon Roriyama. I was saying we'd have to wait till we converted for our next outpost. That might not actually be true. I might be able to place my 3rd outpost right now. So let's get these guys. Never mind, they can't make it for beans. Let's get these guys. Yeah, let's get this embarking done so that next one I can just sprint straight into here. And, you know, do like I was talking about before. You know, like this versus this. That thing. Get one of those placed, ready to go. Because that's going to be a good spot. Now, this group, we're just going to straight up start moving them back off this little peninsula. These guys. So if I wanted to get to the uppy part here, that's a lot of turns, huh? Well, I mean, nothing doing, I guess. Oh, that's food. Delicious. Okay, let's show you guys a friggin' mammoth hunt, huh? Well, so I guess here's... Oh, sorry, more resources to call out. Silk, industry for maker's quarters, money, for instance. We'll learn what a quarter is in a second here. And then incense. Money. Money, money, money. Okay. So, technically speaking, if this ended up being worth 2 science, I could get my thing done, and I could ascend this very turn. Because one of the things you're waiting for is your outpost to complete. This will be completed next turn. So you pick your culture. You'll get to be your new culture starting next turn. Once you become a culture, you can upgrade 1 outpost to a city for free. This will be available as an option to turn into a city. So, on the one hand, if this ends up being worth 2 science, it means we can, like, get our ascension done. We've kind of got what we needed to, food-wise. We have only 1 group that's sitting with, like, a ton of extra... Oh, never mind, this guy's got a ton of extra food in their pockets, too. Oh, but they can't make it to here this turn, can they? Because of the river. So we don't have any pops that are, like, on the verge of turning over. Oh, these guys. It's a hard decision if I want to touch this. If it's only worth 1 science, though, it's for sure a big punish. We should have just gone for the mammoth in that case. So I'm going to just go for the mammoth. Because you'll see now, we can stand like this. Now we can get the flank off. So yes, now it's a rear attack high ground. So notice it's 18 strength. The mammoth is technically stronger than I am. But in this situation, I'm way stronger than it. Also note that this is an asymmetric little caldera. So this guy is too high up to actually attack the mammoth. But he still can grant rear guard. Because it's just about him exerting a zone of control. But the mammoth is not entirely stupid and is able to get around us. So we only got that for 1 turn, but that's fine. If I move here, now I've got the friendly units bonus. And now the mammoth is crossing the river. Yeah, because you can see it terminates right there at the back. and he's already heavily damaged. So now my tribesperson can one-on-one without the rear attack, because he's crossing the river, and because he got injured, and because we got the friendly units. I got this little star for veterancy, so I got 20 influence for that, and 20 food. So technically, yeah, I could found one, but again, I want it here. I want it here. That's just a smart place to put it. Okay. A few things. So now, this outpost is done. So Mimosa here doesn't have any population, but Mimosa is going to start gaining population now over time because it's making food, but it's only making 6, which isn't much. So now you see what I was saying, where in a kind of normal Neolithic, maybe my first outpost comes a little quicker than this one where I'm doing my wonder hunting. This is why I would like the food. Because, yeah, I needed industry to turn it into an outpost. But right now, there's nothing I can build here. My only option is to relocate it in the territory, which I don't want to do. I picked the right spot the first time. But the food it was gaining is just going to passively benefit me throughout the Neolithic. Now, in this case, I got my food a little more actively than that, so I didn't really care. Anyway, 1 or 2. Yep, it was only 1 science. So I was correct to just hunt the mammoth. But now that I'm so close to the science, I definitely want to just find 1 more scientific curiosity. So let's spread out and search for clues, such as this one right here. So now I've earned every star. I've got the knowledge star. Acknowledge the knowledge star. Now, at some point it's going to have to ask me what I want for my Neolithic legacy trait. Oh, here it is. A tribe's legacy. So, we can be renowned as makers, farmers, or charmers. So basically, we can get these traits that basically says we get 1 industry per population, we get 1 food per population to snowball, 1 science per population. So, let's look at our setups. So assuming we ascend this turn, which is pretty likely, we're going to do it here, which has 10 industry a turn already, but only 6 food. The food's not great here, so we might want to just pick food to kind of help give us a head start. Yep, and I also like the snowballing aspect of it. There's probably more to think about, but I don't want to sit here and like point out every culture and pick the culture. Actually, you know what? Never mind. Since I'm going to ascend this turn, I may as well actually pick the culture I want to pick first, and then pick my trait based on that. I was going to say it'd be too much work, but not if I'm doing it the same turn anyway. So now we're just going to kind of do some last-minute dicking around to see if this is a good turn to ascend. So notice here, this is the yellow person. We can go bully his tribespeople, because we have 3, he only has 1. And there are some mechanical benefits to that we will go over soonish. So there's some nuts. I'm going to try something weird here. Okay. I don't know if this will work, actually. I've played this a decent chunk, but there's still stuff I don't know. So let me yeet this guy out here. So this is the one with 10 food, and this is the one with 15 food. Now, once they become Ancient Era Scouts, they won't be nomadic, and the food in their bellies won't matter. But what if I combine them on this tile right now? Yes! It totally worked! I just scammed another pop out of nothing. Out of nothing. So... let's have 1 person. Ooh, so this is the same thing now then. So we want to... we'll embark 1 here. Oh, I'll pick this later. We'll embark 1 here. Then you guys send 1 forward scout. And then you 2 are going to go backwards to combine your food. So this is going to be my last turn. I'm going to just, in the Neolithic, I mean. Boop. Nice. Now we've got this guy who can still scout 1 more. So there's the borders of brown. So again, we're not going to be territorial in this way. Our territoria, we're going to start by just consolidating, then going out. But it's good to know what your neighbors are up to, right? So this guy, now he unfortunately I think is the odd man out. Unless I happen to stumble upon a fresh food curiosity. There's no one for him to touch for this. So this 15 food will be wasted, but that's fine. We're already playing this like so much more. Oh, now I learned about that. But it's too late. Too late for me. So this guy now. So I'm going to put him in the right position for an outpost, but I think I'll save a lot of influence waiting one turn. Because like I said, then it will be like a capital closeness thing. So this 12-17 looks pretty nice. Yeah. Although, I think I'm actually going to pick the 12-15, because it's a little less nice for pop, but it's much better for defense up here. This is a really, really safe spot to put a city. So we're going to do that. And then it'll take the extra turn anyway, so it doesn't matter. So I have one idle army left. It's this guy. He's the one who's retreating. That's right. So let's get him down here to be ready to place an outpost down here. Because we know we're going to want that. We're going to want them like here and here. So now, there's end turn because I slept the thing telling me about a new culture. But now we're actually ready to... Wait, where did the event go? Uh-oh, I think I broke the game. I think by doing my cute little merge, the guy who found the curiosity was the one. So I don't have the option to pick a trade anymore. Did it give me one? No. Okay. So sorry, I actually need to load my autosave here. Because I broke the game doing my... Again, this one's a pretty forgivable break. Because this break happened... This break happened because I really, really abusing the Neolithic. And if they had known that you could do this in the Neolithic, they probably would have coded it different. So, if nothing else, let this... Oh my god, almost an hour in the Neolithic. Let this show that, A, the potential is there for the Neolithic to be really, really deep and engaging and cool. Right? That's the good news. Potential's there. Let the bad news be that right now I can break it, and hopefully this video proof that I understand the Neolithic should get Amplitude to listen to my idea about how to make it better. So, there's my spiel. I'm going to try to do all the things the same to not use my knowledge. Now I'm going to pick my culture right now, and then do the Urgent Affair, and then do my population merging. My population merging has proven this is the right turn to pick a culture. Now, finally, we're going to get into picking the cultures. Okay. So, we'll start with Babylonians because it's the first one that hasn't been picked. When you choose a culture in Humankind, you get 4 things. And the first one is the affinity. So the affinity does 2 things. It gives you a special ability, and that's the same for that affinity no matter what age you're in. Will be Ancient Era. We'll be able to set cities into science mode. That's what you can do as a scientist in any era, set them into science mode. It also means we'll get bonus points for science. And that will make a lot more sense next turn, so I'll explain that then. You get the legacy trait. The legacy trait is a trait that holds for the entire time you play. Okay? A legacy trait, this is just a thing you get forever, even when you stop being Babylonian and reach a new culture. The Babylonian one, +2 science per research technologies on capital. Now that's a little bit confusing. This is sort of amplitude-ease. It's a grammatical construct they use. When they say on capital, what they mean is that this is a modifier. Imagine being on like a sticker, and then they stick that sticker to your capital. So this is saying every time I research a technology, my capital generates +2 science forever. So it's technically a snowball, right? Because the more text I have, the more science my culture generates. The more text that I find, the more text that I find, the more culture my science my capital generates, the more text, etc. But 2 is a very, very low number. So that's not a super broken snowball. But it's still nice, right? Especially in the early game. You get access to the Emblematic Quarter, which means while we're in the Ancient Era, we can build astronomy houses. Those give you food for researchers as well as science. Because basically the idea is Babylonian astronomers were doing their astronomy to help with the crops, right? To do kind of the farmer's almanac kind of stuff. And it also means that if you put food quarters next to them, it's worth more science. So you can basically say, I'm going to mostly focus on building for food, but I'll put this one astronomy house in the middle, get a lot of science for that food too, because they're kind of working with each other. You can only build your emblematic quarter during the era, right? So I will always be astronomy houses while I'm Babylonian. Once I'm in the classical era, it'll be like kind of an old school thing. No one's really building them. You can still use the ones you have. They still give you benefits, but you can't build any new ones. And then finally, you have the emblematic unit. This is the not going to even try to say it. Emblematic units basically tends to be slight upgrades of existing units in one way or another. Like they get one special trait. That's not a hard and fast rule, but that's kind of the way to think about them. They're usually a little better. So in this case, you can always get an anti-cavalry unit once you research bronze working. That's a thing all civs get. But we're going to get this guy with Guardian, who's stronger on friendly districts. Help me for defense, right? I'd be pretty happy to be Babylonian. Now, you can build the emblematic unit. It's like the legacy trait where you can build it in any era. But eventually, they're going to become obsolete. Once we figure out guns, I'm going to just shoot this guy with a gun, right? So what happens is that the emblematic units usually get put on upgrade paths the same as regular units. So let's say this is like a better spearman, and then later you get pikeman. This guy will still upgrade into a normal, boring pikeman, right? Because that once you get far enough in tech, then it doesn't really matter that you can use the old one. So to recap, this is forever. This is only for the ancient era. This is only buildable in the ancient era, but sticks around forever. This is the opposite, where it's buildable anytime until it gets obsoleted. But once it's obsoleted, you can keep the ones you have, but they're probably going to want to just retrofit them into new ones. So that's one thing we can do. We could choose to be Babylonian. And then, this is important, because then we would probably want that science legacy trait, right? Because the more science we have, the more text we'll get, the more science we'll get. We could be Egyptians. Egyptians make industry on districts producing industry. So basically, a district is like a building. So like your emblematic quarters are all districts. This makes them better and cheaper. And we can make Egyptian pyramids to make more industry. So that's pretty cool, right? I mean, we know, like by Call area, there's a lot of those forests. They produce industry. We put the pyramids up in the forests. We can really get stuff working. We can also make the Markabata. So that's an Egyptian chariot that can perform a full move after it makes attacks. So you can pew-pew and then run away. And strong. We have the Hittites. You just get +1 combat strength forever. Now you saw, like with that bear, that 10 to 11, it makes a big difference having 1 combat strength over your opponents. If you guys are hitting each other with the same techs, you're on open field, you're tied, that +1 makes a difference. Now in my case, I can tell you, because I happen to know this, that on Humankind's difficulty, my opponents are going to have like a +1 or a +2 combat strength always. So this is just more to help me counterbalance that, but it's still nice. Now the Awari is interesting. This is an automatic upgrade of a regular outpost. So basically, my outpost, that I saw, one I have it right now on Lick by Call, I can use it so that neighboring cities can spawn units from it, and it's fortified. And since it's fortified, it means that if you attack from within it, you're safer. So basically, being Hittite means if I make a little outpost, and my opponent tries to ransack it, I can fight from them really well. The unit is Giger. You need horses and copper. Now we know we're going to have access to both horses and copper. Mount Roriama's got horses. That territory 1 to the south that I'm leaving the guy to put an outpost up next turn has copper. So we'll be able to make these war chariots. And that makes it so the targeted unit can either move or attack, but not both. So if you hit them in a bad position, they got to stay in that bad position. The Phoenicians. Trading pioneers. Now, something to know about the Phoenicians. Basically, as they're made right now, and this will probably change in the full. I know I'm saying that a lot, but Phoenicians are a huge sticking point. This is a weird one where this is really, really powerful the later in the game you go. Because this is saying when you buy something with money, it costs 20% less. Now, if you make a lot of money, I mean, this is a huge deal. In the early game, we just don't make much money, so this doesn't help us. Then the Haven, money for adjacent coastal waters and lakes, replaces the harbor. It's just like a better harbor. And then there's Emblematic Unit is a Byrene, which is just like a better ship to fight ships. So Phoenicians are really bad right away, but the Pioneers is really, really good the later in the game you go. And the Havens, you can only build one harbor per territory, but you can also build havens and harbors together, right? So it just makes you a good sea power. Now, in our case, this whole Phoenicians early game, late game discussion is irrelevant to us because we're just not interacting with the coast that well. We have our little inland sea, but we're going to get the bowl of territories. We don't want to be Phoenician. Finally, there's Joe. +2 stability on district. Now, I need to explain stability. I promised I would when it would come up. So you'll notice that almost all these emblematic quarters here have this -10 stability. By default, every time you build a district, you get -10 stability. Stability is like socially how much your people feel like they're part of a cohesive whole. So the bigger your city gets by default, people don't feel that same connection. You need to balance it out by religion, by having nice public works, that kind of stuff. Right? Well, so the Zhou, when they say +2 stability on district, what that means is that default stability change of -10 just becomes -8. You can make your cities 20% bigger as the Zhou because we're just more harmonious. And even when we become classical or, early modern or whatever, this trait sticks around. And this trait says, we're so harmonious and full of love. So we just get bigger cities. And the Confucian school, it says +3 instead of -10. And I want to point this out because you'll notice it's +5 per adjacent mountain, but unless you're adjacent to a mountain like twice, you look at the Confucian school and you say, well, isn't this just way, way worse than the astronomy house? That's giving me food too, and I'm getting, it's easier to build farmers' quarters adjacent. I'm still getting science. I'm getting that food. But the astronomy house is a normal district that gives you -10. The Confucian school, because they're teaching us Confucianism, which is about respecting your elders, respecting authority, that gives you +3 stability, and then another +2 because we're the Zhou. So this is a +5. You can build Confucian schools, and your city becomes more cohesive instead of less. So that's the difference. So, this is the fun part of Humankind, is looking at the cultures that are available to you and comparing them to your situation and finding what's best. Now, there's also the 5 that we aren't allowed to pick. Okay? Oh, I forgot to do all their things. Sorry. Egyptians are builders. They can put cities in industry mode, and they gain 10 stability. Now, this is another thing to point out about the builder affinity, because you say gain 10 stability, well, it's -10 for district. Doesn't that cancel it out? And the answer is no, because there's your stability limit, right? That's set by the size of your city, but you only reach it by going 5% a turn migration. So if your true stability is higher than where you are now, you migrate up 5 a turn. If it's down, you go down 5 a turn. So the idea with the Egyptians is basically, or if any builder culture, it doesn't change how stable your city ends up being in the aggregate net. But whenever you build the district, it'll bump you forward so you get to procrastinate for 2 turns, right? So even if your max stability goes down, you'll go up for 2 turns, so you still need to go 2 turns back to where you started, and then you start actually heading down. The Hittites have the militarist affinity, which lets you basically raise militia on your cities. So all units take population in Humankind. That's a big thing we're going to discover. But Hittites, or any militarist culture, can say, I'm going to make really shitty units that don't even take production or money. It's just the raw population, if I just need numbers. Merchant cultures, doubles gains of money when selling a resource, halves cost when buying. Anything you buy from trade can be repurchased by other empires at a premium. We'll get into trade. Depends on how many friendly allies you know about. I know of a few. I've seen a few civs kind of touching me. I don't really know how well the borders and the trading will coalesce. And trading is cheaper on the seas, but you'll notice that I'm not on... Right now I'm on sort of... I don't know if it's the sea or if it's a big lake or what it is, but everything I have is on that same body of water, right? So I'm not going to be probably doing quite as much trading. You can trade over land. Sea trade is better. Finally, aesthete cultures gain access to the influence bomb, which converts territories to your influence, or the tourism yield, which gives you economy gains for things that you control fully. Okay? So influencing, it's kind of a bit of an opaque system. I don't understand all of it, but basically, you want to make a lot of influence that even empires that aren't yours are influenced by yours, and you get a few special benefits. So what affinities do I want? Well, I know there are some enemies at my borders. I know there's some enemies around. I don't know for sure where the borders are going to fully coalesce. I know of that one. So I do know that there's going to be a border here soon. I'm taking this next. This is going to kind of hang out, be one of us. If my enemy takes it, I would like to take it from force, right? For military. And then I see again, brown is here, but there's a 1 territory buffer zone right now. Now, if I take the Hittites, a nice thing about the Hittites, right, is that I can take those buffer zones with my Awari, right? And then the Awari is fortified and can spawn units. So I could say I'm going to take the Hittites because of the geography here, where I know what I want to do is settle this stuff, but I'm going to first just say, like, dibs right here, maybe even dibs right here, do dibs right here, and then put my Awari there, and then I can use those Awari to hold the things I have dibs-did. Okay? That's a perfectly valid option. The science affinity, I'm not a big fan of science mode a lot of the times. There's good stuff you can make with industry and money. I don't usually use science mode too often. But the scientist affinity, getting more points for science is good because you always want science anyway, right? That's kind of my thoughts on it. So I'm always happy being a scientist culture. Being a builder culture, now the stability doesn't matter quite so much in the early game. As you'll discover, when you first make a new city, it's quite stable. It gets unstable as you build out, right? So builder's a little bit less important, but also, especially in the Lake Baikal area, I can turn on the tile yields. I don't usually do this because it looks ugly, but you can actually look at the tile yields of everything, and you'll notice there's a lot of gears around here. I could put up a pyramid. I can only put up 1 pyramid per zone, but I could put other districts near it that extract industry, and like, I could just really get this city go off the ground, and that'd be kind of nice, right? Phoenicians, like I've said, I think are just kind of out because there's, you know, who are my trading partners on this bull? Well, I can trade with me, or I can trade with me. Trade with me, I'm going to try to own this. You can trade with me, I'd like to own this. In fact, I'm about to own this like next turn. Anyone even going to go here? It's kind of off. Maybe it's an island. So I'd be trading like this or this. And I don't know if I'm going to be okay with these guys as trading partners if it's going to need to be war. And then the Zhou, well, let's look for mountains for those Confucian schools. There's a mountain there, but I'm going to have to expand my city here. So for extractors and stuff, I can build them far away. For actual districts to my city, right, I've got to build them linearly. So I can't build the Confucian school here until I've got some building here, until I got some building here. Unless I move this outpost for 4 turns to become Zhou, but that's not... 4 turns is a huge waste of, like, potential energy when I need to really get going at the start of Ancient Era. What about Mount Roraima? Well, unfortunately, Mount Roraima is technically a stone field. I don't know why they didn't call it Stone Field Roraima, but there you go. So we see here, Stone Field, okay. Well, I don't really have any mountains for those Confucian schools right away. Down here, there's going to be a mountain. I could put a nice Confucian school right here. But the Zhou only help me sort of, what was I going to say? As the cities get bigger, again, stability isn't a big deal early. That's more of a long-term legacy trait. School's only 1. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that Hittite dibs thing. Here's my logic. I'm playing on the hardest difficulty, Humankind difficulty. I've never played on this difficulty. I played on Civilization, which is 1 below, and I did fine. So I felt comfortable doing that difficulty for this video. But I've never done Humankind. Sorry, I was thinking about something else suddenly. So I think I might just do the Hittites, because if I get in a big war, I'm going to be so fucking thankful for these Awari. And if I don't get in a big war, and if I can just hang out by myself, then great. If I wasted Hittites, air quotes, wasted, that means I got an entire fucking era where I just got to hang out and be myself and be a cool guy. So I think that I'm going to choose the Hittites here. Especially because their emblematic unit is the one that takes the most resources, right? So you kind of get the biggest payoff, but it's the most work to get to. Now, they don't look that much stronger because it's, 23-23. But the thing about cavalry units is that charges, if they attack non-adjacent enemies, they get bonus strength. And there's that suppression, and they're going to move really fast. So, I think I'm going to become a Hittite, try to fight for those boundaries, and if they give them to me without a fight, they gave them to me without a fight. And that means I still get a whole era to just kind of chill and build up. The Egyptians are also quite promising looking. Now, the thing about the Babylonians, though, is that there's so little food here. This is my one worry. There's so little food in Mimosa, which is going to be my capital, because this, I won't be ready to make this into a city next turn. So I'll definitely want to make my capital here, right? Now, if I do that, there's just not much food. And so, putting farmers' quarters, like, all along the coast here, and then putting an astronomy house up on this mountain, where it extracts this science, like, the microgeography here would make me really like this Babylonian astronomy house. So let's say those are my three. I don't normally take quite that much time, but this is the part of the game I want to show off why it's so cool, right? So on the one hand, I would really, really like this astronomy house, because then I can put my people under research and still get some food for it. I can get these geysers extracted, get the science from that, and then I can also put the farmers' quarters here and get some adjacency benefits. The Egyptians let me build out here, and then there's some improvements for food you can just, build, right? We'll find that out as we come. I can just kind of use my production to force out some amount of food. Or I can do Hittites, because I can say dibs right here, have an Awari. I can do dibs here, have an Awari, dibs here, have an Awari, dibs here, have an Awari, right? So I can fortify these borders with these Awari. Now, there is also the consideration, though, that in terms of sheer manpower, I'm almost certainly totally outnumbering everybody in the world right now, right? Because I took the time during the Neolithic to really hunt, and I didn't settle as early as they did. So I think I'm going to risk the Babylonians. I think I've talked myself out of the Hittites. The Awari are cool, but I think what's going to happen is people are just going to be intimidated to fight me because I'm going to have so many more men than them, right? And the food situation here is really rough, and I really think the astronomy house will be a smart way to go about things. Let's go for it. If I get fucking blasted in combat, then you can mock me for not choosing the Hittites. I'm going to hope that my culture... And now that I've done this also, it really makes it easy now to decide. I'm definitely going to be a storyteller to get more science, because I'm Babylonian. And that's how I'm going to defend myself. I'm going to just try to get to the text sooner. I know I've got both the horses and the copper I'll have on tap, right? So I'll really be able to defend myself that way. Okay. So now we're going to try to do... We have to remind ourselves of our stacking that we used to get the bonus pops. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to save and quit. So again, another casualty of this being an OpenDev is that the game... I was going to say memory leaks a decent chunk. So I'm going to save and quit. I'm going to get right here, get everything ready so I can just advance culture, save and quit. start the next video at the start of Ancient Era. Get a drink of water, because, wow, I've been talking for... I mean, I have a drink of water. Refill my water bottle more accurately. Yeah, I think that this is just enough dudes, because I'm abusing the Neolithic, and the AI is not, that I really don't need to worry myself about early combat. Okay. Now these guys, I'm going to keep them together as a 3-stack, because this is the kind of more contested ground now. Remember. I could try to ransack this. Actually, I wonder if that is better to try to ransack this nomadic tribe. Just to kind of keep the pressure off. 7 turns is just too long, though. That's the answer. 7 turns is too long. If it was, like, right on my border, if they were here, I might still do it. You know, if they were here, I guess even. But if they're way off here, I mean, they might just end up being a problem for my enemies, right? So, just going to walk this guy here. So, and then there was another one here, right? Yes, there was a split here where I want to put... The whole group touches this food curiosity. And then one of them goes off. And then another one comes back on the river to join him. This is the one I set up. Okay. So now again, let me remind myself, here, where did I want the outpost? That's right, it was these two, and I wanted the high ground between the two. Now, does that change at all now that I know I'm Babylonian? I think it might actually. Because if I found it here, it's a bit less defensible of terrain, but then there's all these kind of... There's more food on the river here. And then that means I can set up my astronomy house in a bit better of a spot. So yes, I am going to put the outpost here. And then this guy, he's got nothing he can do. So I'm going to found like these two, and then I probably want... Well, now actually, lead is science for researchers. I actually really want to go aggressive in trying to take this lead, even if it's going to be a little harder to hold. Lead is going to be so important for me. So let me get an outpost. Now this is one area where I wish I was a Hittite, because this outpost is going to be a bit on the fringes. This will be a harder one to defend. But, what was I going to say? But, of course, the only reason I want the lead so badly in the first place is because I'm Babylonian, which is why I'm not Hittite. I think that 8-10 is way the best spot. So let's just move this guy right back. We kind of went in a big old circle. Turn 14. Picking a culture. You have 15 population. And as you see, we're going to be... Actually, I won't spoil the supplies. I'm going to just save. Hi, YouTube. And cut the stream, give it a bit for the memory leak, and I'll see you in the Ancient Era.